Broker Bulletin acknowledges the traditional custodians of all the lands across the country on which we record our podcast and pays its respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Broker Bulletin podcast, where better begins. Join us as we chat with brokers about what's working for them, what drives them, and the real challenges and wins that matter most right now.
Welcome to Broker Bulletin. I am Mel Cooney and I'm joined by Luke Jarmaine, our Chief Risk Officer. Hello, Luke.
Hey, Mel. How you going?
I'm good. Today, we want to talk about, the changing landscape of technology, and this is your total jam. So what are you seeing in your chats with brokers and how they're using AI?
I think there's a real appetite across the network at the moment to find the different ways that we can use AI and use AI safely. What tools, what processes, and for what outcomes.
I think I see genuine curiosity with the brokers I speak to. And, it's a shiny new toy, but sometimes there's inherent risks with those toys. So can you maybe take us through what some of those risks could be?
Probably the biggest one is making sure that you keep your client and customer information safe and protected. So if you are using technologies to try and look at different types of data, are you doing it in a safe way? Is the data protected? Is the account secured? Is it being accessed securely? So that's kind of the privacy implication. The other one is we're obviously brokers. We're here to provide credit advice. That credit advice is human-led credit advice. And we shouldn't be using AI to make credit advice decisions for our customers.
And I think also too, like you touched on it before, are you using that information safe or securely? I know Laura Bennett and I did an AI webinar. And we talked about how sometimes brokers will say, oh, yeah, but they have an ISO 27001 certificate. Even though it's a great standard to have, that's not an absolute insurance policy, is it?
No, it usually means that a provider does a good job of managing and identifying their security risks, managing them, putting in the right control environment. So it's definitely an indicator that they take security seriously. But for so many online tools and applications, it's not just that the tool is secure, but also then the way that you use it needs to be secure. So they could be the most secure tool in the world, but if you're not using it properly, you could be very much exposing your data, your processes, and your business PI.
We're talking about compliance by design and the process that brokers follow. With all these new third-party AI tools, have we had any scenarios where it actually isn't the case?
Yeah, definitely. And it's one that I think a lot of us use and a lot of brokers are using and want to use well, which is like that automatic note-taking and uploading into kind of file submissions. There was a scenario where there was a lot more automatically taken than was intended by the broker that then made its way into a submission with the lender and it cost them their accreditation. But it didn't just then have the notes that he had for the client that he was interviewing, but a whole bunch of personal notes and other commentary that went along with it. And without that step to kind of make sure what's capturing, is it still the notes that I want to provide or, same with the human-led advice. When we're doing the credit advice, is it the information I want to be sharing? You need to be diligent or continue to be diligent that yes, it's making you more efficient, but you need to make sure it's doing what you want it to do and sharing what you want it to share.
And I guess if we kind of, again, talking about risk, because that's our whole job here at LMG, if we think about the increase in these extra tools that brokers are using, are we seeing any flow-on effect of increased malware or phishing attempts that we're seeing coming through?
Probably not malware, definitely phishing and that social engineering. It's just so prevalent now. And the AI-led phishing and social engineering is as high it's ever been. So the diligence on looking for kind of fake client leads is a big one. The diligence on making sure that you're checking that your documents are properly originated or the supporting documents for your client. And just being conscious of how you're interacting with these systems. That are they a well-known system? Are they one that you sign up to with a proper business account, or are they kind of an ad hoc one that you just found on a website and you're gonna chuck in some information and give it a go? I guess it's the requirements to kind of manage your ecosystem of tools and capabilities that you're using as part of business hasn't changed. AI's just got a lot more people, I think, a lot more interested in trying new things, which is great. We just need to do it safely.
And one of the things I always hear is, oh yeah, but I've got cyber insurance. And that will 100% protect me if something goes wrong. I often think about it's sort of like house insurance. It's all good and well to have, but if your house is burnt down, it doesn't necessarily be a solve all solution. What is your thoughts around that?
Oh, look, I'm a big advocate of cyber insurance. I think it's great, but there's a lot in the small writing in what's covered, how it's covered, and when it's not covered. And similar to your house example, you kind of leave your car unlocked with your keys in it in a place where it's likely to get stolen, you're probably going to have a bit more of a struggle to get it covered than you would otherwise. And interestingly, probably a lot of the cyber insurers I've seen, or they used to, I think a lot of them have changed now, but a lot of them originally didn't cover scenarios where you're kind of getting scammed via a phishing link, which is over 99% probably of compromises start by people interacting with a phishing email or link or other.
And what's probably the most sophisticated phishing scam that you've seen recently that maybe you could talk about as a cautionary tale?
The most sophisticated one was actually the one that we saw early this year by one of the online lodgement platforms. After a list of broker emails, I think nationally broker emails were compromised by one of the asset aggregators' databases had been compromised. And then an attacker was able to accurately impersonate one of the online lodgement platforms and reach out to every one of the brokers that they had on their list to say, oh, this file's been lodged, you need to check it. And we had a lot of brokers across the network that then interacted with that, looked like it came from a real place, looked like it was a real document upload. Obviously, they got their details as a broker, and we spent a lot of time with our customers then doing remediation. And actually, we worked with the online platform to close out their vulnerability.
So if we were to think about checklists, because from a compliance background, that's my absolute go-to.
I love checklists.
I love a good checklist. But if a broker was to think, look, I'm down this rabbit hole of AI, I'm 100% going for it. Is there kind of like some checklist points you could give our brokers so that they understand what kind of things they should be looking for, what things they should embed into their own protocols or process to have that human in the loop?
Depends on the scenario used for AI. So I'll start first when you're choosing the AI tool, we publish on Knowledge Base. We've got kind of 4 how-to guides, like with ChatGPT, Gemini,
Claude.
Copilot, Claude, how to set it up, how to use it, how to make sure that if you're sharing data with it, that it's protected just to you and the licensing that you need to do it. So that's one, making sure that the information you're putting in is secure, it's not retained, and it's if you need to worry, depending on ones you use, you might need to consider, is my privacy policy still accurate? So definitely know the tools that you want to use. When you're then talking about what business process do you want to use it for, or what business process you're trying to support through the use of AI, front of mind really needs to be, are you using it responsibly? And when you get asked to demonstrate, are you using it responsibly, you definitely need to understand why and how you're using it, and then how you're providing assurance that the way that it's being used isn't introducing unnecessary bias, is still always in the customer best interest. It's still your advice at the end of the day.
So Luke, one of the phrases I've been hearing, and maybe you could explain a little bit more, is what about frontier AI? What is it and what are you seeing?
It's pretty cool, actually. I think it's pretty cool. That's just probably the cyber in me. But frontier AI is really the kind of that front of AI now, where threat actors are kind of using AI to look for vulnerabilities and exploitability across technology and infrastructure everywhere at a pace that now is just so far beyond a human's ability to respond to, that it's resetting the standard on what good security and good technology hygiene and technology management looks like across all parts of the world. So frontier AI is now AI getting or leading the way in terms of managing security across technology, or identifying problems with security across all technology.
I thought I was scary when I talked about regulation and legislation and all those things. That's really terrifying for me as someone who doesn't know a super huge amount about security and cyber design. So we at LMG are always thinking about our brokers and how do we keep them safe. And I know one of your projects that you're working on is cyber as a service. So I guess when we've got frontier AI and all these other platforms, you just talked about humans not being able to even compete with that rapid rise in technology. At least what we can do as a base minimum is keep our software and systems safe. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the projects that we've got coming out in cyber as a service.
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the big issues that frontier AI is probably demonstrating that not everywhere, and this is all small business, medium business, large business, home users, everything else, the baseline in terms of technology and security hygiene isn't always equal. And the key vulnerability in our frontier AI is that people that don't have a base level of security hygiene and infrastructure management are very, very vulnerable. So if they were a little bit vulnerable before frontier, say start of the year almost, they would probably be a low risk of exploitability. And now it's almost guaranteed. That's kind of the difference. And one of the things I think we've been really good at is that we kind of manage our infrastructure hygiene and our security hygiene really, really well. Not perfectly, nobody's perfect, but we invest a lot of time and money into making sure that we do it really well. For the cyber as a service investment that we made, so that project that we've been piloting with a few brokers now and getting it out there, is how do we introduce that base level of management for their laptops and their phones and their infrastructure, and make sure that it's always patched, it's securely configured. If a security alert goes ding in the night, that there's someone there to look at it. That's essentially what we're doing. It's not the Ferrari, it's what is that base level that keeps us safe and resilient to this kind of changing threat environment.
Like Batman for brokers, right?
Sure. I'll just make sure that we're making sure all our gazelles are fast and the lions aren't going to get to them first.
After knowing what you've just told us all about frontier AI, what is the scariest thing that keeps you up at night? Because I'm now imagining AI thinking AI things, and, my robot vacuum cleaner is going to try and kill me in the night. My tinfoil helmet's getting ready to be made. So tell us what your scariest thing is that you're worried about.
The thing that probably scares me the most and would be at most at risk of keeping me up at night when I think about these things is the amount of unmanaged data that is probably around the financial sector. Have we got driver's licenses and emails that we don't manage anymore? Have we got them sitting on a file share? All this information that's just kind of proliferated over 35 years of the internet being around and then hasn't been cleaned up is now more than ever going to be identified and possibly accessible if the right protections and systems aren't in place. So we've seen a lot of big data breaches over the years across different parts of the sector, and no one's invulnerable to it. But that available data, if people aren't now actively doing what they need to do to make sure that it's managed, make sure that it's secured, like we obviously spent a lot of time investing in SOC 2 Type 2 and making sure that we had a really kind of strong, robust control environment around my CRM and our key technology services. People that aren't doing that, or people that even doing that, doesn't make you necessarily completely protected from it, but people that aren't actively managing their data, where it is, how it's held and how it's protected, I think that is probably what keeps me up at night. There's a lot of data in the world.
So what would be the top 3 things that brokers could go home today after listening to our episode in the car, go home and do with their data to help you sleep at night?
Top 3 things. How comfortable are you that your IT environment is being managed and is up to date? Do you know your processes for how you're collecting data, protecting data, and then storing data going forward? And how aware are you to the current scams and phishing and those kind of awareness campaigns? We also have our Cyber Week coming up in October. It's not too far away. We'll kind of go into all of the latest scams that we've seen this year, but that'd be my top 3. The basic hygiene, the management of their data, and then their awareness on kind of phishing and scams that are proliferating the market at the moment.
So I guess for awareness on scams and things, we do have quite a lot of information on Brokerversity. We've got a cyber awareness course.
We have a checklist. Yep.
We do love a checklist. So we're building in that muscle memory of knowing what to react to and what to question. If, say, a broker just says, oh, look, this is another thing that I have to do and my plate is already full, what do you recommend that they do?
Come and chat to us and we'll help you prioritize. We do consult to small businesses and we look at what the Australian government has called out as what are the essential 8 strategies that small businesses should be implementing, and we'll work with that business to go, is it implemented? Do you need to implement it? We'll help you do it. That would be the biggest one. It doesn't need to be, it's not everything. It's what are the key foundational elements we need to keep our business safe.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you like this episode, make sure you rate and follow us in your favorite pod store. And if you know a broker who would make a great guest, have a topic you want us to discuss, or even have a question you'd love for us to answer, you can DM us at lmg.broker on Instagram or send us an email at brokerbulletin@lmg.broker. See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Broker Bulletin. We would hate for you to miss an episode. Subscribe to Broker Bulletin in your favourite podcast app. Has this episode been helpful? We'd love you to rate and review us. It'll help us deliver content that's useful to you and help others discover us. If you have great ideas for topics worth tackling or have burning questions you'd like addressed on an upcoming episode, reach out. Links in the show notes. See you next time.